Yo guys, what is up? Maxroll Diablo 4 video, and today we're talking about my predictions for the best Druid builds for Season 4. Now, I got together with the folks over at Maxroll, and we talked for a very long time about our predictions based on our experiences in the PTR and after the patch notes for what is going to be the strongest. And I want to talk about that today, but I also want to talk about some things that are going to be off meta. If you've played the super meta builds, some things that are going to be very different that could be really fun and interesting builds. Maybe they won't be the strongest, but they should be really fun to play. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. Before we get into the video, all of these build guides have full step-by-step directions and guides written out on Maxroll by myself and the other druids there. You can go through literally every little detail of the build, the scaling stats, how to level your glyphs, the Paragon board progression. You can click into any of these and get into the build planners where you can see the starting level 50 variants of the build, then the level 75-ish variants and all of the aspects, all of the tempers, everything. So if you are interested in diving more deeply into some of these builds, I will have the links in the description. So this is our endgame tier list that we agreed on. I personally would move Companion Druid up to B tier. Maybe I'm a little bit biased towards that because I wrote the Companion Druid build guide, but Companions are going to be really, really great at single target damage. Where they kind of lack a bit is their AoE clear. You can read my written guide for it. We're going to be using X-Falls with the Wolves and Rabies to get a lot of extra AoE clear, and we're just actually going to be focusing on Wolves. The helmet that you can get Masterwork ranks on your Wolves, plus we're going to be using the Storm Companions pants, which also roll ranks of Wolves, and you should be able to get the Wolves up to scale really well. Bestial Rampage just got buffed. We're going to be able to use the Wild Rage aspect to make it so our companions benefit from Bestial Rage. You're going to be able to temper Wolves cooldown on your amulet and on your ring to get really great cooldown on your ability to just click your Wolves. And currently in the PTR that happened a few weeks ago, the Wolves were hitting harder than Hoda Barb. And so while their AoE clear isn't great, their single target is going to be really strong. And we're going to have them on a really low cooldown. And so I'm thinking that Wolves is going to be really great. And also, because their utility temper is for Wolves attack speed, we're going to be able to push Wolf attack speed to ridiculous limits. And should it be an all-around pretty good build? I personally didn't go for Lacerate still on the build. I just don't think Lacerate's going to be good enough. Petrify works for the companions. But yeah, if you want to check out my full endgame companion build guide, that will be on Maxroll. The next thing I wanted to talk about was actually the Lightning Storm Druid. In B tier, we've got Trample Slide Druid, Stormclaw, Pulverize, and then A tier is where things start to get really kind of crazy with the builds. We got Boulder Druid, Lightning Storm Druid, and Hurricane Druid in our A tier, and our S tier is our Werewolf Tornado Druid. Now, let's talk about Lightning Storm Druid first. One thing that's going to be really crazy with Lightning Storm this season is actually the changes to Clarity. Now, Clarity reads, after casting a companion skill, your next core RAS skill's damage and crit chance is increased by 35% up to 105%. And you can actually get ranks to Clarity on your gear, which is kind of insane. And so we're going to be using the typical Shepherd aspect, where we're going to get a ton of base damage for our Lightning Storm, but this actually snapshots. So you're going to cast all of your companion skills, right? You're going to make sure that they're poisoned, get your Envenom, but as soon as you do all three of your skills and then you cast Lightning Storm, your Lightning Storm is basically locked at every single strike, guaranteed critical striking, which is insane. So Lightning Storm's going to feel really, really great. And the other thing that Lightning Storm's got going for it, and this is for Tornado as well, is the Thunderstruck node. They didn't change this. They didn't nerf this. Thunderstruck node is uncapped damage multiplier based off of your close and damage to distant. On Lightning Storm, we're going to be going for damage to distant, and we're going to be able to get this up to a massive number to give Lightning Storm guaranteed 100% crit chance, ridiculous damage multipliers. And Lightning Storm is also getting the new boots, the Wild Heart Hunger. When you shapeshift into a werewolf or werebear, you gain stacking damage multipliers. This is going to be really nice for shapeshifting builds. And this season, they also buffed the quick shift and heightened senses. So now whenever you shapeshift, you're going to get stacking damage. This is a massive damage multiplier. Heightened senses is a ton of damage reduction after they nerfed all of the damage reduction in the game. So Envenom, ranks to quick shift, heightened senses, clarity is going to make a lightning storm really, really crazy this season. I'm actually quite excited to check it out. The next guide I wanted to talk about is Boulder Druid. Boulder was incredibly bugged in the PTR. The like interaction that was making Hurricane do like infinite damage scaling has been nerfed. And there was a lot of other bugs that had to do with Boulder in the PTR that they like haven't mentioned if they got fixed or not. The guide that I wrote is assuming that some of these bugs did get fixed, but however, there's some that I don't think they are fixing. One of those, if I'm not mistaken, I do need to test this once the like actual season goes live, is that Boulder aspect, if it goes on a two-hander weapon, isn't actually giving you the increased damage. So for example, if you put this on a two-hander weapon, it should be 240% normal damage, but it stops scaling after 120%. So I'm just using it on a one-hander. But the reason Boulder is going to be so nice this season is, one, the new affix, Spirit per second. Spirit per second is going to be amazing. Boulder's big issue in the past has been spirit management, and we're going to be able to get more spirit than we've ever gotten before. So Boulder should be really great. We're going to be able to max out our damage to crowd controlled very, very easily, and we're able to get a ton of earth crit chance as a secondary affix. So right now this build's got like 70% crit chance, max rolled attack speed, or capped attack speed. And with its earth crit chance rolls, we're actually getting capped crit chance on Boulder, which is fantastic. And the other thing that's going to be really interesting on Boulder is it's going to be a lot easier to get a Tempest Roar this season because you can trade. So for example, one thing that we're going to be doing, at least on the Maxroll version of Boulder, is using Heightened Malice, where now our Hurricane's going to be up 100% of the time. And every time that our Hurricane hits an enemy with our guaranteed 100% crit chance, it's going to be poisoning everything, which is going to be allowing for really awesome uptime of Heightened Malice, especially paired with Envenom. And we're just going to be guaranteed critting on Boulder. Tons of resource management. We're incorporating Shred into it because Shred is going to let us get close to enemies and keep them close while we're bouldering. Boulder should be really, really fun this season. I'm very excited to try it out. The next build that I'm really excited to play that we have a specialized guide on Maxroll for is Hurricane Druid. Now, Hurricane is not something that you're going to be able to level with. It's not something that you're going to want to spec into at like World Tier 3 or World Tier 4. You're really going to want to like get your tempers online, get your Maxroll aspects, get your Tempest Roar. But once you get the pieces for this build, it's going to be kind of insane. So the big synergy here with this build is that you're going to want to temper Hurricane duration on a two-hander weapon. That is going to give you, with all things are said and done, about 18 seconds of Hurricane at the max end. And then you're going to temper on, put on the aspect for Hurricane damage, which is 36% increased damage per second, 18 seconds. You're getting over a 600% multiplier for Hurricane. Then we pair that with one of the best multipliers for druids in the game, the Shepherd's aspect. This taking over. It's just literally on every druid build. And it's now changed to work for Wrath skills. So then we're going to get this ridiculous multiplier for Hurricane. We're going to be able to use Hunter's Zenith because our Tempest Roar is going to make our Storm skills Werewolf skills. So anytime that we kill with Hurricane, we get free debilitating Roar procs, which is going to make it really tanky. And we're also going to be pairing it with some snapshot synergy with the skill Provocation. This is kind of what pushes the damage to the like absolute limit. When you remain in Werebear form for at least 16 seconds, your next non-defensive skill will overpower. So piloting this build's a little awkward because basically you're going to like try to not hit many buttons. You're going to try to just stay in Werebear form. We're going to be clicking Maul to just stay in Werebear form, walking around with our Hurricane on. And then while we're staying in our bear form, if we can stay in it, we only need to do 16 seconds, and our Hurricane should be around 18 seconds, meaning we should have 100% uptime. And then what we're going to do is then we click our Hurricane once we get this buff up, and then the Hurricane will be guaranteed overpower procs for 18 seconds. Everything's going to be guaranteed overpower, and we're going to be able to guarantee crit. This build is going to be speccing a ton into Clarity. After you cast a companion skill, you're going to get stacking up core, wrath, crit chance, and crit damage. We're going to get guaranteed 100% crit chance on Hurricane. And then we not only get to use the Thunderstruck board for the ridiculous amount of multiplier that's going to have, but we're also going to be able to use the Dominate glyph for increased overpower damage. And just the amount of damage multipliers in this build is crazy. 600% multiplier, like 135% multiplier, with all of our crit multipliers and venom multiplier. And remember that multipliers are multiplicative with each other in this game. It should be crazy, and you're going to have Height and Malice. Yeah, Hurricane Druid is going to be on another level, but it is going to be a little awkward to use. Next up, we've got arguably the only S tier build for Druid this season. Right now, it's basically Druid and Necromancer in S tier, which is kind of wild. But Tornado Druid was hitting for like 500 million DPS in the PTR. There were other builds that were doing more damage than that, but those were bugged and have since been fixed. Tornado Druid remains, as far as we know it, unchanged, and this build is going to dish out a ton of damage. First off, it's got the Wild Heart Hunger Boots. This is another new damage multiplier for Tornado that's going to push its damage even higher. In addition to that, in our Paragon board, once again, we're going to be able to pick up Thunderstruck and really max it out. This isn't showing from our like tempers currently, but we're gonna have that at like 150% damage multiplier just for the NATOs. We've got the Shepherd's aspect for another like 180% damage multiplier with all of our companions when you pair it with the Stampede aspect for general mobbing and dungeon things. Well, obviously we're going to change this for bossing, but the Changeling Debt on the amulet is going to give us a massive damage multiplier against enemies, and anything that gets hit by our tornado is going to get poisoned and then slowed, so we get 83% damage multiplier against them when we're in werewolf form. Our tempers are going to allow for us to really max out that Thunderstruck node, going for damage to close. We're going to be shotgunning enemies with our tornadoes, and it's going to be really nice this season to get spirit per second tempers, because tornado is going to easily hit attack speed cap. We're going to want lots of spirit and spirit gen so that we can spam those nados as fast as possible and have our spirit keep up with us. Tornado Druid is looking pretty insane. It is our highest ranked Druid build, and I think Druids in general are looking pretty good for this season. It's gonna be a good season to play a Druid. Guys, that is gonna do it for the video. Obviously, the like newer, more experimental builds are gonna be Companions and Hurricane. Those are builds that I'm really excited to play. I think there's more potential for like experimental builds, like a full Rabies build where you scale damage over time and Rabies and get really low cooldown. That should be interesting. There's a new chess piece that allows you to like spam basic projectile whenever you use a skill. It's called Tierlist Might, and that paired with Stormclaw could maybe send out lots of projectiles per second, and that could be pretty cool. But for like really more proven builds, we do have guides for everything here on Maxroll, and I'll obviously be testing and experimenting and updating these guides, or at least the ones that I wrote for this season. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you found it informative. Once again, check the links in the description if you want to check out any of the written forms of these guides, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Take care. Peace.